I got you.
Alright, creatures of the night! Welcome to Talking Taker, episode 154 of our encyclopedic exploration digging up the career of the greatest professional wrestling character of all time, The Undertaker! My name is Alex Dorio, and I want to thank you for joining us for yet another round of Dead Man Talking. And I am joined, as always, by my tag team partner, my wrestling buddy. He is the chairman of the Talking Taker podcast, Mr. Travis White. And Travis, he's doing his La Parka dance across the screen from me. We are here. I wish we were talking about La Parka. I wish he had faced the Undertaker. But we are talking
Total
instead...
La Parka. Coolness. TLC.
That's what it stands for. No, we are talking TLC Tables, Ladders, and Chairs 2009. The first ever chairs match between The Undertaker and Batista. And Travis, I just have to say, in the immortal words of the great Sammy Hagar, it's time to catch this magic moment. Do it right here and now. It means everything.
Absolutely, it does. Oh, Sammy Hagar.
The great Sammy Hagar.
The great Sammy Hagar. Oh, man, that guy. I didn't think we'd talk about him on this show, but there's a reason that we're talking about him, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. So,
are you more Van Hagar or Van Halen?
I like Van Halen, not Van Hagar. I'm a Joe Dirt fan, so I'm absolutely Van Halen. So, jump. Go ahead and jump. Might as well jump.
I think that's Van Hagar's got a couple good tunes, though.
Yeah, they both suck to me, honestly. At the end of the day, I can skip their entire
They
catalog.
Don't suck.
And be fine.
You can't say they suck. No,
I can. I'm walking to they suck.
They're not your favorite. You don't think they suck?
I do.
No, that's outrageous.
Absolutely.
Extremely talented.
I can skip all of the 80s. So
That's also outrageous.
from 1980 to 89, you can skip
Bruce
that whole decade of music.
U2, Guns N' Roses.
I like Bruce Springsteen. I like U2, but they also fled in the 90s and Springsteen's late 70s, right?
I mean, yeah, but he made music in the
good.
80s.
I mean, the general theme of the 80s was trash for me. So.
Well,
anyway,
that's a different podcast. We'll have to argue
what
about.
I could take is some TLC the 90s. No, I'm just kidding.
Hard pass.
Give me a little T-Bars, Left Eye, Chile. So. Speaking of Left Eye, I think Rey Mysterio lost his this past weekend.
Oh my God, I don't even know what to say, man.
Good thing Taker wasn't on that show. We'll have to cover that show.
That was the horror show, and hopefully this will be slightly better here. Like we said, we're digging into the first ever chairs match at the first ever TLC pay-per-view here. So enough music talk, enough talking about modern day. I don't even want to call it wrestling. I don't even know what it is anymore that's on there these days. But we're going to take this time traveling hearse back to 2009, back to November 23rd, 2009 is where we're going to start things here. We're going to pick up the night after Survivor Series 2009, another first ever, as we got a triple threat match on pay-per-view between The Big Show, Chris Jericho, and The Undertaker for the first time ever. And of course, our man, The Undertaker, won that one, successfully defended his World Heavyweight Championship. So he's going to be looking for a new opponent here at TLC. And he's going to get called out on this episode of SmackDown, or episode of Raw, excuse me. It's a special 3-hour Thanksgiving episode of Raw. You got all the different brands there on this special edition. So we're going to hear... you just mentioned him, Rey Mysterio. His music is going to play, but his rival at this time, Batista, is going to come out instead in a great heel move. And I loved it. Yeah. Oh, it's perfect, man. He's so good here. He comes out as the announcers are talking about the beatdown he gave Rey Mysterio the night before at Survivor Series. And Batista says Rey's going to be spending the night in the hospital tonight. spending Thanksgiving in a hospital bed. He gave him the beat down, and he's going to put everyone on notice here tonight because there's going to be a big breakthrough battle royal in the main event of this episode of Raw where the winner gets a title shot of their choosing for either Raw or SmackDown, or I guess they could choose ECW if they wanted.
Why was that not at Survivor Series? Or why is that not what the Survivor of the Survivor Series got? Like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, sorry, go ahead.
Would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah.
It would have been something different. But no, instead, he says if someone from SmackDown wins this Battle Royal tonight, he's going to hit the ring and take them out because he is going after Undertaker and the world title.
The Undertaker is mine. The World Heavyweight title is mine. That's right, I said it. And no one alive is going to stop it. Not so fast. SmackDown's big and red monster. With Kane.
He comes out and interrupts Batista. It says, if I disrespected you, if I embarrassed you, if that's the case, why don't you make an example out of me, Dave? And Batista just stares Kane down and kind of smiles a little bit and backs out of the ring like a heel. You know, he's not going to fight him. He's just going to kind of back away from him here. Kane hits his pyro, and that's basically teasing to SmackDown later on this week where these two guys are going to face off for a number one contendership here. And that does it for our storyline, but I just want to mention a couple things about this episode of Raw because I remember it quite vividly. This is the one where the guest host is Jesse Ventura making his return to the WWE, and it's actually great. He does commentary with Vince McMahon for that breakthrough battle royal, and Vince comes out with his tux with his red bow tie on, so they're reunited for the first time in 20 years. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed seeing that. It was fun.
And unfortunately, that's the fun part of that. The horrible part is the winner of that breakthrough battle royal is Sheamus. And that may not sound so weird here in 2020, but man, if you were not watching in 2009, that was kind of like a jaw-dropping moment because Sheamus was nothing at this point in time. He had just come over from ECW where he'd only been for a few months. He'd just been on Raw for like a month or two. But they strapped the rocket to him here, and he goes on in just a few weeks to win the WWE Championship from Cena at this TLC pay-per-view that we're going to be talking about in just a really terrible finish. Cena basically slips on a banana peel and falls through a table, and Sheamus wins the world title here. And man, I just remember legitimately this being like a turning point for me in my wrestling fandom. Just like thinking this was such a joke. I could not take this pale beaker looking dude seriously. Like, I know he's jacked. I know he could probably beat me up, but his hair, his facial hair, his pasty pale skin that looks like me, I just could not take this guy as a serious threat. I could not believe he was getting pushed, and they just shoved the world title on him over so many deserving people. I mean, how did you feel?
Well, I have this later on in my notes with the actual Survivor Series or TLC pay-per-view, but this is a perfect time to talk about it because there's saying in the business that either the man makes the title or the title makes the man. Well, Ric Flair as the man made the world title mean something. Hulk Hogan as the man made the world title. Steve Austin made that world title. The Rock, those guys made the title. That title didn't make them. They were already stars, and then that made them. They made that title mean something. This is an instance of booking where you're trying to make the title make the man, and it happens from time to time. And sometimes it's, there's a right and a wrong way to do it, but this is the horribly wrong way to do it, man. Like, you just thrust this guy out of nowhere. Like, with Taker, he was on the roster for, a year before he won it, Right. He had an aura about him. He had a presence. He had a character. People were scared of him. Like, he had a legitimate threat. He was almost undefeated up to that point. Like, he had something going. Like, that title, maybe that was put on him to make him too, but like, he could make that title mean something too. Sheamus was just, dude, pulling it out of a hat or something. He's like, oh, who's gonna win this? Oh, this new guy, Sheamus. And man, I've gone on to respect him now. I do respect his work. He's stiff as heck. I still don't really like his look or his, I don't know, some of the stuff he does, but like I really do respect his work ethic now and kind of stuff he can do in the ring. But man, back then, yeah, this was yuck city, dude. Like I hated this. I hated Raw at this point, man. It was awful.
Me too. He's so
and this
green.
made me hate it so bad.
Yes. All the guest host crap, and then this. I just remember being so disenchanted with wrestling at this point in time. It was this whole deal with Sheamus is very, very similar to what they did with Jinder Mahal a few years ago, in my opinion. I mean, even Jinder Mahal, I would say he'd been around at least a little bit more, but he was he was just a jobber that all of a sudden, a few weeks later, they thrust the world title on him, and you just can't take it seriously, man. I'm glad you brought the Undertaker into it.
The title trying to make the man. You know, they tried to make Jinder by giving him a title. It shouldn't be that way. It should be the other way around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try to bring Taker into it. That's, I mean, he's reminiscent of this, but not really.
He was over.
Exactly.
He had something to him. And, we'll leave Sheamus alone and we'll move off of Raw, but I did want to mention before we move over to SmackDown for the rest of the show that I also vividly remember the next week on Raw because I moved into my new house in Augusta the next week. And we talked about it at the time. You were in Tennessee, married at this point. You'd left all us behind. But we had the rest of our crew there in Augusta. And we still got together and watched Raw every week. We continued to do it till I moved away in 2014. So we kept it going for the next 5 years. Just had a rotating crew and had a great time with everybody. But we used to get together at my parents' house. Now I had my own house. And I was so pumped. This is going to be the first Monday Night Raw in my new house with the big screen. It was going to be perfect. And they announced who the guest host was going to be for this first Raw in my new house. We went from Jesse Ventura to Vern Troyer, Mini-Me from the Austin Powers movies. And I could not have been more disappointed, man.
It's like 10 years removed from like him being popular too, man. You know? It's like he wasn't even relevant at this point. Like, was there Austin Powers like
not even
redo
close.
At this point?
No. I'd rather have Joe C, man.
No, he might have been dead by this point, was he?
I'd still rather have a dead Joe C than a live Mini-Me. Oh, man. They had some lame guest hosts, especially you go back and watch it. It's just like cringeworthy, man.
Oh, yeah. Bob Barker is the best one. And Shaq. Oh, Shaq was great.
For every Bob Barker, there was 20 other terrible ones.
Vern Troyers, yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Ricky
maybe
Pattons.
5 in the 2 or 3 years they did guest hosts that were entertaining at all. But please, take us away from this, man. Take us to something better.
That's going to take us down, chasing waterfalls here down to SmackDown, November 27th. It's the night after Thanksgiving, so we're all... Black Friday, I guess it was here, Everybody's gone and got their sweet HD TV at this point, their sweet, was the Xbox One out at this point? I don't even know. It's 2009. I was out of touch.
I think it was a 360 still.
You got some sweet deals, and maybe 360, yeah. Got back home, and they're ready to settle down, snuggle in with their, Thanksgiving goodies and eat some leftovers and watch a little SmackDown. The show's going to open with the highlights from Survivor Series where Taker, taps out show to the Hell's Gate, and then we see a graphic for Batista versus Kane tonight, and the winner is apparently going to be the number one contender for Taker. So there you go. That came out of nowhere, but it is what it is. So Jericho comes out to open the show up, and he's got his tag titles with him, and as you mentioned in your notes here, he's dug up Vince's World of the Day calendar. He's using all kinds of stuff. And
now, while all of you mucilagynous troglodytes attempt to digest your massive Thanksgiving dinners and try and recover from your tryptophan hangovers.
I didn't write them all down here, but he's, using troglodyte and sycophant and, just stuff like that. Just stuff that Jericho could get away with at this point, Yeah. Jericho he's so good because he can make stupid stuff work. So, but anyway, he hypes Jericho versus DX match at TLC for the tag titles, which will go on to be the main event. Strangely enough, but tag titles haven't been relevant in 6 months, and now the main event of of TLC in the almost ending the year, or actually the last pay-per-view of the year, going out with that match on last. But anyway, he talks about his accolades, and then he turns to talking to Teddy Long. He's demanding that Teddy put him, make things right, and put him as number one contender. He's like, no one deserves to be in that spot rather than me. Give me what I want. And Teddy Long comes out and says he's going to give Chris Jericho what he wants. And so Jericho's like, oh, sweet. Thinks he's going to be in the number one contenders match, a triple threat. But Teddy's like, instead,
no, Chris, not at all. You see, tonight, in a non-title match, you're going to go one-on-one with the World Heavyweight Champion, The Undertaker.
That's what Teddy thinks everybody wants. He wants more Undertaker. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and it'll be a non-title match, though. So, he's getting a match with Taker, but not for the title. So, not really what he wants. Well, Batista versus Kane, the number one contenders match, is the main event, I believe, here. And Batista doesn't even do his pyro shtick. I just wrote that. He's coming out. He's a heel now. He's not doing that pyro, which I like. I like that change to his character. He's still getting a lot of cheers from the ladies in the audience, especially when he takes his shirt off and stuff anytime. Ladies love the Big Dave. So,
can't blame him, man.
Yeah, but he's going to do exactly. He's going to do excuse me, his darndest here to get over as a heel. So he actually shows some good psychology here in this match, working over Kane's leg, and they wind up going to the timekeeper's barricade over there, and Batista hits him with a chair in the leg and slides in before the 10 count to be number one contender. So win by count out, but I really liked that heel psychology there in that spot. It was really, really cool.
It was a creative finish.
Very old school to me. I really liked it. And I'm sorry, that was not the main event, because later on the main event is Jericho and Taker. I apologize. That's earlier in the show.
I forgive you.
Jericho, yeah, it's okay. 1,000 apologies. Well, Jericho comes out, and then Taker gets his full entrance and comes out last, and then Grisham asks Batista what he thinks, about this, because Batista is on commentary here. He comes down, sits with his headset on, and just doesn't say a word. Grisham's like, so what are your thoughts about, facing the Undertaker? Just kind of stares. And Matt Striker has the possibly line of the year. He's like,
silence speaks as loud as war. The great Sammy Hagar once said that. Sammy Hagar is great.
silence speaks as loud as war. The great Sammy Hagar once said that. And that's golden. But then Tool Grisham is going to look at him and go, Sammy Hagar is great? I love it, man. He just totally redeemed himself. Totally took away his toolishness. Yeah.
Tool Grisham has the line of the year, not Matt Striker, man.
Yes. Matt Striker had the line of the year, and then Tool Grisham one-upped him immediately in the next breath. So I love that. He's just, Sammy Hagar is great.
I think we have to give Tool Grisham his name back for that moment. Yeah. I think he can be Todd Grisham, at least for the rest of this episode, till he says something else stupid. But I think he has earned it, at least for tonight.
Yeah. We'll be giving Striker Tool Striker by the end of the night. So.
Dude, that line sums up Matt Striker, too. Just like the hyperbole and the ridiculousness and the non sequiturness of it. The great Sammy Hagar. That's not even like a memorable line. I had to look up what song that's from.
Oh, I don't know what it's from. Yeah,
it's from When Love Walks In by Van Halen, which I know that song, but I do not know that line. He just pulled it out of nowhere. It's too much, man.
Oh yeah, way too much. Way trying too hard.
Yes.
So, but man, yeah. Again, Grisham with the awesome, pulling his punk card. In my opinion, pulling his punk card on air.
He did.
So, yeah. Well, throughout the match, we see Batista looking at Taker and never really answering any questions or giving insight. And Taker's looking at Batista as he's working over Jericho. And at one point, Batista gets up from the seat and gets in Taker's face, and Taker gets in his face, and Batista just kind of smirks and sits down again. So he's really playing that cool, heel. And Jericho winds up losing or excuse me, he winds up going back in the ring, and Taker gets a choke slam on it and does the throat slash like he's going to go for a tombstone. And now Batista's going to act. He's going to slide in the ring, attack Undertaker, hit his leg, and cause a DQ. So, 2 DQs on this episode, or DQ and a count out in the main event matches, basically. So that's going to be a theme going through these episodes of SmackDown. But after this, Jericho hits a code breaker, and then Batista's going to grab a chair from the ringside and starts beating Taker down with it over and over and over again. So we see a replay as Batista poses over Taker, and then he continues to beat him, which I don't think they'd announced it was a chairs match yet, but like we're getting the point, not so subtly, that it's going to be a chairs match because he's really doing it. But I will say this, I really liked, like we mentioned last week with Jericho and Big Show, getting heel heat at the end of the night. Like it's not hard booking, and it works. It always works. So I really dug that, you know.
Absolutely. Making Batista look strong here, making him look like a threat. And, of course, we know Batista and Undertaker's history. He's a guy that's been an equal with The Undertaker many times. So you could definitely see him as a legit threat to Taker's world title at this time. So, and this starts the tradition, I think, with TLC every year, where all of a sudden people start using chairs and tables and ladders just out of nowhere. It just so happens to be that's time of the month. So that means we're going to make a match out of it. Perfect timing.
Remember the first TLC match when it like made sense to do that? Because the Hardys used ladders, the Dudleys used tables, the Edge and Christian used chairs for the concerto. Like it was organic. It all
came
fit together, and it was like.
And it never has ever since then.
No. Yeah. So.
Well, that takes us to the next week on SmackDown, December 4th, 2009. And we learn that The Undertaker he's planning on calling out Batista later in the night. So it's giving him a heads up that he's going to call him out here later tonight. We get a recap of all the things that happened with Batista and Taker last week, and then we see Batista backstage. He's complaining with Teddy Long about the fact that he's got to face Rey Mysterio again next week on SmackDown. He's saying, why does this guy deserve to be in the ring with me? I've already proved that I'm better than him. And Teddy tells Batista that Rey has requested to take on Batista in a street fight next week. And Batista says...
No eye for an eye match?
No eye for an eye yet. They hadn't come up with that genius. They didn't have 40 writers come up with that yet.
I think one writer came up with that.
Okay.
Pal. Anyway.
Well, Batista says that's all well and good as long as I still have my hold harmless agreement still intact, which I don't even know what he's referring to. I missed that, but...
It's probably in the lockbox, man.
I'm probably so. But Batista says he goes on to complain about The Undertaker calling him out later tonight. He says to Teddy, why are you letting this happen? And Teddy says,
Come on, you can't let this happen. After what you did last week to The Undertaker, my hands are tied, player.
I cannot contain The Undertaker anymore.
Like, I got no control over my show, man. Come on.
He's been kidnapped by him and held hostage for a week. He's staying out of Undertaker's business from now on. So, The Undertaker does indeed come out at the end of the show to call out Batista. And this was really unique. I don't think we've seen this in 20 years of covering The Undertaker. Because The Undertaker is doing his full entrance here. Got the gong, got the lightning, you got the smoke. He's coming out to his music, and it's always such a special occasion, such a special appearance. It's sort of sacred as the Undertaker makes his entrance. All of a sudden, Undertaker's in the middle of the ramp, and Batista comes out of nowhere and ambushes Undertaker. Hits him in the back with a chair, just destroys him with the chair, drives this chair down into Undertaker's neck, just choking him with it. And correct me if I'm wrong, do you remember ever seeing anybody attack The Undertaker in the middle of his entrance?
Not at all. Like, not like this at all. If anything you would possibly get close, it would be him and Austin, like as he's coming down, Austin just jumping him in the starting the match in the hallway, but not like this. And the entrance wasn't quite as epic back then either. You
No.
know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
but that even that wasn't from behind. It didn't ruin the entrance. He basically made it all the way to the ring. When Austin would get him. So, but that's about it. But yeah, no one has ever blindsided him that I can recall, or you can recall, in 20 years. Of his entrance. So it's crazy.
And it fits for Batista, in my opinion, too. We talked, they had the Fatal 4-Way a few weeks ago with Batista, Mysterio, and Punk. And we talked about how when Undertaker made his entrance in that match, Punk and Mysterio dipped out of the ring. Batista's the one guy in there that stood his ground. And he stood there in the ring as Undertaker's making his entrance. He's not afraid of Undertaker. He's beating him. He sees himself as an equal with him. So it fits his character that he'd be bold enough and brave enough to do this. So he gives Undertaker a beating, gives him a spine buster across this chair, again cementing this chairs match into people's brains here. And I think Stryker actually officially mentions that their TLC match is going to be a chairs match. I don't know, maybe they announced that on .com or something.
I don't know.
I missed it during the show, but apparently it's official now. And then Batista takes the world title off Undertaker, holds it up above him, screams out, "I'm the man," and gives Undertaker some stomps. Taker is really selling, convulsing on the ground. And this was very effective. I did not see it coming. I wasn't really paying much attention to SmackDown during this time, so I hadn't seen this before. It caught me off guard. It was so unique, and it's hard to do unique things with The Undertaker after 20 years. You can still do a lot of things well, reusing a lot of the same thing. We see a lot of the same angles and storylines with him, so this was really effective, and again continues to put Batista over huge and let the heel stand strong at the end of the show, as you brought up again.
Yeah, I loved it, man. Loved it. It was great. And that's going to take us to the go-home show for TLC the next week. It's SmackDown, December 11th, 2009. The show opens with a recap from the last 2 weeks and how Batista's just left Taker laying. Like we said, he's got the heel heat. He's got the advantage going into TLC so far. So he opens the show with an in-ring promo, and he's like, I got to get a couple things off my chest. I did not ask for a match with Rey Mysterio tonight. And I want to go back to, I think it was 2 weeks ago after that Fatal 4-Way when you talked about him turning heel on Rey and how he was just kind of matter of fact, I'm going to take your head off. It's very Jake the Snake-esque, calm, quiet. He doesn't have to yell and scream. And at this part in the promo, he's not having to scream and yell either, but it's effective. You can tell he's a heel. He's just matter of fact. And I just really liked that style and that approach he's taken to his promos. Batista's heel work here is awesome.
He's, it's something we've talked about here on the show. It's not that far of a stretch for him to be doing this heel thing.
Right.
He's not hcompletely shifted his persona. He's just tweaked it a little bit to emphasize some of the heelish things. His music, his theme has always been "I Walk Alone," and so that's he's always been kind of a renegade babyface, and now he's just kind of turned it a little bit. We've talked about other heels that are they turn heel and they completely become a different person. Yes, Austin was the perfect example of that, and that's why Batista's so effective here, is because he's not completely off the rails. It's just a little tweak to the other side.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to put it. And, he talks, he's like, tonight I didn't ask for this match. Ray demanded it. Since I started my campaign to reclaim the World Heavyweight title, it seems like you people aren't very happy with me. And he goes, but I don't care. Boo me all you want. This is not about you. It's about me being who I was born to be, the World Heavyweight Champion. So he's like, he goes through his past. He's like, I didn't need Evolution. I used them to get what I wanted, and I moved on. I don't need Rey Mysterio, but he needed me as a big brother to watch his back. So I don't need any of the fans here. I said, I hear you when you cheer me. He said, I didn't hear you when you cheered me, and I don't hear you when you boo me. So then he does something just so heelish and perfect, man. He's like, let me show you guys something. So he calls for a spotlight, and he just...
Would you please give me a spotlight? You get what I'm saying now? This is not about you. This is about me being in the spotlight where I deserve to be.
I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money. I'm here to win titles. Everything about me screams world heavyweight champion. Everything. He's like, look at me. And this is part where he gets a little bit louder. And, he's talks about Taker. He's like, you're not the dominant force everyone makes you out to be. I've left you lying the last 2 weeks on your back. I've seen the fear in your eyes. You're afraid of me. And you, in my opinion, you've already lost. Me winning at TLC is just a formality because you've already lost. I've got the advantage. And, you fans need to get used to the world heavyweight champion Batista. So I'm clapping like at home and watching. Like, dude, this guy is on fire right now because you know what? This is not far from what allegedly was going on backstage. As far as allegedly, if you read the dirt sheets back then or go back and read, like, he was apparently a little disgruntled about his place on the card. He was, and he'd had some injuries or whatever, but like he really. And he decides to leave after Mania, right? Shortly after Mania.
Yeah, just a few months after this.
A few months after that. He leaves for real for 4 years, So it was, and we always say, like, the best characters are the real life turned up, whether it's a babyface or a heel. Like, so this is his real thoughts turned into a storyline, which I think is pretty cool. And again, like I say, he's not far off. He screams world heavyweight champion. We talked about that, months ago on this podcast. He is all that is man, and chiseled out of granite, but looks like a champ, carries himself like a champ. And so, I like the way they brought that real life stuff into the character, and it really played into it here. It's really, really cool to see.
Yeah, and it's just, it's good to have an effective heel back in the picture.
Yeah,
again.
Exactly.
Like, someone, some of the stuff with Punk was good, but it's different. It's a different type of storyline than what you've got here with Batista when someone, actually can stand their ground with Undertaker here. And, they kind of made Punk look like a joke during a lot of that stuff, too. So it was a little bit harder to take him seriously. You take Batista very seriously here.
Absolutely. And Punk's going on a feud with, like, R-Truth now. Like, come on, man. So, anyway, but later on, the main event is Rey versus Batista in that street fight. And basically, this is a match that you do back in the territory days or NWA days. You just book the heel to get massive heat going into the pay-per-view. It's genius to me. And who better to get heat on your heel than have an underdog like Rey Mysterio? It always works.
Still works in 2020.
Exactly. Whether it's eyeballs in his head or not, I mean, Seth Rollins has got heel heat for what he's doing to Rey Mysterio. So it doesn't matter. But anyway, he basically dismantles Rey, and then he just grabs a chair and goes for Batista bomb, and Rey fights out, and then Rey uses a chair, but Batista hits a spear, spine buster, CTE shot to the head, and then he covers him to win the match. Like, he doesn't even do his Batista bomb. He just hits him with a chair, pins him. Like, that's what I'm going to do to Taker, Then he grabs the chair and goes up to, like, Pillmanize Rey's head in the chair or the neck, or he's put the chair around his neck, going to go jump off the middle rope and Pillmanize him. But before he can jump, we hear the gong hit, the lights go out, and then the lights come back up, and of course Taker's in the ring, and Mysterio's magically disappeared, and Undertaker goes after Batista, but Batista escapes out the ring, and Taker's music plays, and the flames erupt there, and Batista backs away, and Taker does a throat slash and eyes his opponent there. So again, Taker's standing tall in the ring, but Batista kind of got one up on him. He didn't let him attack him. He got out of the ring before he got the retribution on him. So smart booking, man. It's amazing how when you book a bunch of heat, your babyface gets payoff. It's just funny. Like, I think I mentioned it a couple episodes ago, or maybe I didn't, but Kevin Nash was talking in an interview, like, heat heals like a hot air balloon. You got to book heat to make it rise and rise and rise, make the storyline rise, and the hot air balloon gets higher and higher and higher, and then finally you take the hot air out and it comes crashing down. That's when the storyline, the babyface gets one over, and it brings the heat down. So that's a perfect analogy in my opinion. So
I love that, man. I love that,
and it's working here.
My only question is, what happened to Rey Mysterio? Where'd he go? He just disappeared.
Under the ring with Hornswoggle and Vern Troyer.
It's like when guys. It's like when Taker took Jeff Hardy's place at SummerSlam this year. Jeff Hardy disappeared, and Undertaker was in his place. let's take this beautiful balloon up in the air to TLC Tables, Ladders, and Chairs 2009, December 13th, 2009, the AT&T Center in San Antonio, Texas. And as we mentioned before, first time ever they'd done this pay-per-view, and much like with the Hell in a Cell concept, this is one they're still doing 10 years later, or 11 years later. So this is the rare pay-per-view concept that's stuck. It's weird to think about it, that it's been around that long, a lot longer than a lot of other pay-per-views that we've seen come and go, a lot of concepts here. And man, how do you feel about this as a pay-per-view staple in the WWE?
I think the same way you and I feel about Elimination Chamber and Hell in a Cell. It's like it's you shouldn't just have that match because it's that time of year. You have that match when it makes sense. You know, Hell in a Cell should be used for the feud that needs it as a payoff. TLC should be used as a feud when you need it as a payoff. Suddenly, in December, November of every year, everybody starts using ladders, chairs, tables. Oh, everyone needs something suspended in the air to climb up. It's just like, it's so contrived and so, I don't know, it takes all the believability out of it. That suddenly everybody has to rest on this crutch for all the storylines for the next 6 weeks till we build this pay-per-view, you know, or in this case 3 weeks between pay-per-views.
Right. So. Yeah, it's, you know, I get it. It's a lot more marketable than a pay-per-view full of submission matches or the bragging rights concept. I totally understand why they do it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You know, you're usually guaranteed a couple fun matches with the ladders and TLC concept, but yeah, all the same criticisms you said. It just feels really shoehorned in. You know, the December pay-per-views always kind of flop. It's like the storylines.
Maybe that's why they did it.
I think so. Yeah, because I think they know fans don't really care as much during December. There's a lot more things going on, so let's just throw a bunch of gimmick matches on there, and maybe some people will buy it for that.
And the main event of SummerSlam was TLC, right? Jeff Hardy and CM Punk. So like we had just seen one 4 months ago, you know. So it takes the specialness and uniqueness off of it. The more you do it, the more you water it down, you know. So I don't know. That match was perfect. That made sense for that storyline. But this is just like, let's throw them all together. Like, why does DX and Jericho need a TLC match for tag titles? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Not really. No, it's just there. But it does give birth to this infamous chairs match. You know, The Undertaker been in a lot of first-time matches, and now he's going to be in the first ever chairs match. And you listeners may be wondering, what the heck is a chairs match? And quite frankly, the announcers and the wrestlers, I think, are wondering that too, as we're going to see here in just a few minutes. Seems to be a lot of confusion as to what this is actually supposed to be. Yeah,
well, and it can only be made worse by a few years later when we're going to get the stairs match. So.
Oh, exactly. It's going to lead to the infamous stairs match. Thankfully, we don't cover that.
Yeah, thank God. Was that Rowan and
somebody? Rowan and Big Show.
Big Show. Golly. Yeah.
As if a singles match between them isn't bad enough. You have to make it a stairs match.
Yeah. Well, cool thing with this, you know, this pay-per-view opens with highlights from previous tables, ladders, and chairs matches and ladder matches and tables matches. But the first image we see in the whole entire video is Taker giving Edge the last ride through that table from that TLC match we covered on here, which, again, forgotten gem. That match is nuts. We love it. So,
really.
And then it highlights we actually do get a highlight for an ECW title match tonight. The WWE title match, the World title match, and the Unified Tag title match. Those are your 4 big matches. I think the ECW one was what? Christian versus Shelton Benjamin. New 24/7 champion, Shelton Benjamin, 11 years later. So I think that's how he's gone down.
Hey, man.
Match
he's hanging in there.
Christian. Anyway.
I'm glad he's doing something.
Oh, yeah, man. He's in a good spot on Raw now.
Well, and we've actually, it's nice. We got a somewhat different set here tonight after a few months of really boring sets. They've got all these tables, ladders, and chairs hanging from the ceiling here. So at least they're trying a little bit to give this a different look. This match is going to come on after the crowd is killed dead, after Sheamus barely wins the world title or the WWE title from John Cena. Like I said, he slips on a banana peel and falls through a table here. So good luck.
Sheamus almost falls through one on the outside, too. So, I wish he'd have fallen through one on the outside and then he just had a tie.
Yeah, they just had to. Yeah. Totally screwed it up.
Co-champions.
And Sheamus' career, well, his career could have been dead right there. That would have been nice.
Yeah, that's true.
But like I said, we've got Cole, Lawler, and Stryker on commentary here. Poor Todd Grisham has to sit this one out. But Tony Chimmel is the announcer for the match. And he says, the chair match, not chairs match, but the chair match.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, this match can only be won by pinfall or submission. However, the use of chairs is legal.
So, remember that, folks. You can only win by pinfall submission, but you can use chairs. Make sense?
Got it. But I just wondered, like, how is this not just a no DQ match? Like, what makes it a chairs match? Like, what sets this apart as a chairs match?
Well, we're going to see.
Yeah. So, Batista comes out first, and, again, no pyro. And, again, we get that cool set looking there. Was it the next year at TLC when all those chairs fall on, is it Cena?
Cena uses them on Wade Barrett.
Wade Barrett? Yeah.
Pulls the chain, like fatality.
Cool. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was creative. Yes.
Yeah.
Do you mean the altered beast, Batista? As Matt Stryker says 800 times?
He wears it in the ground, but you know what? That's one of my favorite arcade games as a kid.
Sure.
I absolutely love that game. And it was only available on the Sega console as a kid. And our friend from back in the day, we used to rent it. I used to rent it at his house, Jonathan, and we used to rent it a game and play it because I could only play it on Sega, and he had one. Altered Beast, fantastic game. Wish they'd make like a new one, like 25 years later, but they're not. But yeah, he is hammering that into the ground, man. Altered Beast.
He's really trying to get it over, and it does not work.
No, he's the only one that says it.
He's the only one who says it.
He's like the other friend you have that like tries to be cool with you, and you're like, who is this guy?
He keeps talking about Sammy Hagar and playing Altered Beast. He won't shut up.
He's really living in the late '80s, man. Showing his age. Oh, I don't even know where to go from there. Oh, man, so yeah, Batista's in the ring. He's doing, he, of course, Taker makes him wait like he's prone to do. But, Batista doesn't look, like you mean, he doesn't look phased here. He's doing the Batista or the Brock Lesnar bounce back and forth and flexing his pecs like it's Chris Masters. Not to the Black Eyed Peas song, but he's, making him hop up and down there. But
too bad.
It's something. But once Taker does finally, make his entrance, though, he gets a good pop from San Antonio, because everything's bigger in Texas. Get a good old Texas-sized pop.
No doubt.
And I love that he's got his black jacket open and the big old gold belt shining there. And Cole says that Batista has posed the biggest threat in Taker's entire 20-year career. So
we'll go with it. Yeah, it's not quite true, but it's close enough.
But he is a menacing opponent, and he is
that's right
on par, physically with Taker. So.
Well, these two guys, we get the championship style introductions. Of course, Undertaker's going to get some big cheers from that. And Michael Cole says the feud with Taker took Batista from an also-ran to a champion to the place he is today.
Yeah.
Close enough. Again, he'd been champion a little bit before that, but we'll go with it. And then Cole, like I said, he's going to make it really confusing for us here, as he says...
So again, this is a chairs match for the World Championship, and there are some unique things about this match I think we should point out. Remember, chairs are legal to be used as a weapon. However, there can be disqualifications and countouts in this matchup if you use something else as a weapon, perhaps.
Even though Tony Chimmel just announced to the crowd, you can only win by pinfall or submission. So I'm glad everybody's on the same page.
You can only win by pinfall or submission or DQ or countout. So it's a match.
It's a normal match, except you can use chairs.
Only.
So keep that in mind, folks.
Yeah. So a pin or submission will finish the match, is what Cole says. Yeah, you can use chairs are legal. They can be DQs and countouts if you use something other than a chair. But a pin or submission will finish the match. So will a DQ, and so will a countout.
Every match ever.
Yeah, it's so stupid. So, well, the bell rings, and Batista, great heel move, and he immediately slides out and grabs a chair, and slides in with it. And Taker stomps on it, though, and then he slides out, and Batista swings the other chair, and Taker actually just punches the chair straight into Batista. So I love that. And Taker swings it at him, and Batista hits Taker, and then Batista slides in the ring, and Taker winds up clotheslining him. So we're really getting in the action pretty quick here from the beginning.
We are, yeah. Undertaker sends Batista out of the ring again and rams him into the stairs. So that should be disqualification, I guess. But no, stairs will be legal in this match too, I guess. Undertaker grabs a chair again. Batista blocks it. And Matt Striker, I'm going to point it out a few times in here, man. He's off the rails. He says that Undertaker's been in Hell in a Cell. He's been in Elimination Chamber, Inferno matches. Perhaps none more dangerous than this chairs match.
Dude, what? What is he talking about? You literally light your opponent on fire in an Inferno match.
Oh, no, I'll take that over a chair shot.
Yeah. What is he talking about? What is he talking about? How are any of those three more dangerous in a chair match? I don't get it. So
reminds me of when Michael Cole was talking about Undertaker and Boss Man getting their fingers stuck inside the Hell in a Cell back in the match.
Well, that's not the only stupid thing Matt Striker says right about here, because he also said something, and I skipped over this a couple weeks ago. He said it on an episode of SmackDown, but he repeats it here. I skipped over it on purpose, but once he repeated it here, I was like, I got to say this. So he says that...
I mean, it may sound silly, but Batista's protein intake is obviously more than The Undertaker's. Batista's bones are more dense. That means a chair shot to Batista may not have the same effect that it would to The Undertaker.
What if The Undertaker drinks more milk? Does that mean... look at Undertaker continuing to try to get back in this thing against the animal Batista.
What are you guys talking about?
And then like 11 seconds later, King just goes, what are you guys talking about? He took the words right out of my mouth, man. I love it because they're all just calling each other out for real.
They're all
so real.
Really annoyed with Matt Striker, and they're just not letting him.
Talking about?
He's so over the top. This is
it's
like the
an
beginning
improv when you don't say yes and you just say no. Like, you just stop the person and say no.
They're not on the same page. This is like the beginning of the era. It feels like now where the commentary just doesn't take things seriously. Like they're just they're more about bickering with each other than they are about trying to get people over and call the match in the ring. And this is sort of where this all begins, I think.
Yeah. Well, back to the match at hand. They're on ringside, and Taker tosses a chair into the ring, and Batista slams Taker's back into the apron and then Irish whips him, but Taker reverses it, and Batista winds up spilling over the barricade into that timekeeper area. Taker's going to toss another chair in the ring, and then he's going to go for that move on the barricade. But, of course, man, as we know, we've been following it along with us for 150 whatever episodes. He's going to crotch himself on the barricade. He cannot ever seem to hit that big boot. So
he can't help himself
on the barricade there. No, he can't help it.
He's like Charlie Brown kicking the football, man. He's got to go for that running big boot. Well, Batista grabs a chair out of the crowd and nails Taker in the leg and chokes Undertaker with the chair. And King and Cole point out that these guys need to get in the ring because they might get counted out. But then they have to say, well, I guess the ref's actually not counting. He's using that championship discretion here because no one is on the same page about the rules of this match.
Exactly. It's so bad. Oh, it's so bad.
I can't stand it, man.
I know, man. I can't stand it either. It's awful because they're like, well, I guess he's not going to count him out.
How do they not all talk about this stuff and know what's going on?
Don't they have like production meetings and stuff before?
Seriously.
Anyway, well, Batista's going to swing a chair at Taker, but he ducks and Batista hits the ring post, and Taker puts Big Dave on the apron, hits a leg drop, and then I think at some point in here, So I think Cole says it's like taking a metal bat and hitting a baseball with it. I don't know. It's like it makes your hands sting or something. They're trying to. It's just, in my opinion, just shut up. But it's about to get good right here because Taker, does the apron leg drop, and then Michael Cole says, vintage Undertaker. And then immediately after that, they're in the ring, and Taker works over the shoulder, goes up for old school, and then King just cuts him off. He goes, well, you've already used your vintage Undertaker line. So it's just like, yes. They're just going at it, man. Straight for the jugular.
They just don't care tonight, man. Just dishing into each other.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Like, what are you going to say? You've already used that line.
Well, much like we've seen in a lot of other Undertaker matches, Batista's going to catch Undertaker on this old school attempt, crotch him on that, and hit the superplex. Gets a cover for a 2 count. Batista goes for a Batista bomb on the chair in the ring, but Taker flips him over, and Batista falls back first onto the chair. So back and forth, both guys kind of struggle up. They're throwing hands with each other. The crowd's going, yeah, boo. Batista's able to nail a spine buster and get a 2 count off of that.
Yeah, then he's going to take a chair and kind of wedge it in between the top and the middle rope over the turnbuckle. So we've seen that countless times in other matches, but he's going to use it here, set it up there, just kind of give you a little tease, and it's going to come into play later on. So he punches Taker. Taker ducks a clothesline, hits a running diving clothesline of his own, and then Taker sits up and sees the chair sitting there in the ropes. So he notices it, and then he goes for arm wrench, hits old school, hits snake eyes, hits a big boot attempt, but Batista actually is going to counter this big boot, interrupt the moves of doom here, and cut Taker off with a spear. So you don't often see that. You usually see Taker hit all those moves in succession, snake eyes, big boot, leg drop. But, Batista cuts him off, and I really like that.
Batista gets a 2 count off of that, hits a spine buster on Undertaker on the chair, but then he wastes a little too much time doing that Ultimate Warrior rope shake, and Undertaker is able to recover and lock in the Hell's Gate submission. Batista starts fading away, but he struggles over and he's able to get to the ropes, which really shouldn't matter if this match is no DQ, but it's not no DQ, so even though they said it was no DQ, so he does break the ropes here, and
right.
I'm just shaking my head as this is going on.
Yeah, and as he rolls out of the ring, Batista Matt Striker calls Taker a master of the submission arts, which I don't know that anyone's ever called him a master of submission. I mean, I don't know, man. It stood out to me like a master of submission arts. Like, I don't know. It was worth noting to me. But Batista's he gets a chair and he actually goes around to the other side of the ring on the apron, like on the hard cam, like on the side opposite the hard cam. Taker goes over there to grab him, and Batista just nails him in the gut with it. Batista gets in the ring, charges at Taker, who moves, and Batista winds up going head first into his own weapon he wedged in the corner. He hits that chair that he set up. So nice little, they planted the seed a few minutes ago, and it pays off here. And then Taker's going to hit a clothesline, and then as he's going to cover Batista, Matt Striker again, here comes the poltergeist, the minister of the night. So
just brainstormed 100 nicknames trying to get them all in there, man.
Oh, man.
The minister of the night.
Yeah, he said that last week, and it was just like, seriously? But the poltergeist really got me on this one, man. He's just going, is that 80s or 70s? I don't remember.
That's 80s. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, he's living in the 80s then.
Absolutely, man.
Being altered beast poltergeist is Van Hagar.
Undertaker signals for a choke slam, connects with that, gets a 2 count, throat slash, attempts the tombstone, but Batista slides out and shoves Undertaker into Charles Robinson in the corner, and he nails a low blow behind the referee's back. And again, I'm sitting here watching this like, it's no DQ. Why does it matter if you hit him a low blow behind his back? But again, even though they said it was no DQ, it's not actually no DQ. So Batista hits a chair shot to the head of the Undertaker, pins him 1, 2, 3. Batista wins and is announced as the new World Heavyweight Champion. And that is not how I remember this match ending.
No.
We hear Teddy Long come out and saying that. No, 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 no. But yeah, you're right. I did not remember that happening at all here. But Teddy is going to come and possibly right a wrong that he had done to Taker. So he comes out and says, there is no need to celebrate. You know, the use of chairs is legal, but a blatant foul is not. But again, it's a no DQ.
Are there fouls in wrestling? Or is this football?
Yeah, red card.
Soccer
Yeah,
now?
I don't know, man. So he says that he is not going to allow the world title to change hands after a low, cheap, despicable act. Not tonight, playa. 4 months ago, sure. Not tonight, playa.
Sure.
He didn't say that, but I'm thinking that, like, following his character arc. But you know, and he orders this match to be restarted. So Batista, he's kind of in the rampway at this point. He's got the title in one hand and the chair in the other, and he runs back into the ring. And Taker sits up as he gets in there, and Taker boots that chair that Batista has right into his face. And then he's going to hit him in the back, and then Taker gets him up for a tombstone.
1, 2, 3. That's the finish. Undertaker retains the title right there after the screwy restart here. So dumb, man. What a silly story. This kind of a dumb match, in my opinion. I was hoping for a lot more out of these two guys. They've had some of the best matches we've covered in the past couple years. And it wasn't awful. It didn't suck, but it was just really hampered by this stipulation and they're trying to figure out what a chairs match is and how to use that psychology in here. And it's just really weakens what if they could have just let him have a no DQ match, man, and they happen to use chairs in this no DQ match a lot. Just do something like that rather than having to try to build it around this silly stipulation.
Yeah. And why didn't the tombstone happen on a chair? I mean, come on.
Missed opportunity.
Why did he not boot him on the chair or boot the chair in his face and then the chair falls on the ground, tombstone on the chair? Just like we missed opportunity was Hell's Gate and Hell in a Cell too, like you pointed out. Like, come on, man. It's not that hard to make these things fit together. But anyway, Batista's on his back. And, you know, Cole, Stryker, and King are kind of discussing what just happened. And Matt Stryker, you know, as Taker is posing up at the top of the rampway and, you know, with the smoke there and the flames, and he looks over his shoulder and holds the title up to Matt Stryker says, you know, perhaps Teddy is trying to right some wrongs he's performed in the past against The Undertaker. So who knows? Is Matt Stryker the voice of reason here? Bringing some...
Well, then he's kind of trying to be a heel, too, because he says... Well, Teddy Long, I don't know what he's doing out here. He's either the general manager or he's an official. He can't be both. And Michael Cole says, yes, he's the general manager. He restarted the match. He's allowed to do that.
Yep.
You moron. He didn't say that, but he basically,
right.
He might as well have added that. So one more annoyance with Matt Stryker here.
Yeah.
But I liked Batista after the match because he walks out of the ring and he just sits down on one of the folding chairs on the outside and takes a little breather and
raises his fist in the air.
He raises his hand in the air. He's yelling at the fans like, I don't need you. I don't need these. I don't need you people. So he's still being a heel throughout all this. Then he actually goes and has a little segment with Teddy Long later in the night, threatening him to beat him up with a chair if Teddy doesn't go and make this right on the next episode of SmackDown. So we'll get to that on next week's episode of the podcast. I mean, how would you rate this match?
Definitely my least favorite of their pay-per-view outings, I'd say for sure. But it was nice to have a heel Batista. I'll say a full heel Batista. So, but yeah, just watch it for the sake of watching all their matches, but don't get too hyped for it.
If you could redo this as either a tables match, a ladders match, or a TLC match rather than a chairs match, or a stairs match if you want to do that, which would you pick to try to make this a little bit better?
I probably would have done a tables match for these two. I don't know that these two need to be climbing ladders and hitting moves off the ladders and stuff, and I wouldn't have done TLC because, again, same thing. I think that they could have done just a tables match. Would have been better in my opinion.
Okay.
Or just no DQ, like you said. What do you think? You'd go with TLC?
Man, like maybe make the chairs match like I can't believe I'm gonna say this. Maybe like a chairs on a pole. Like that's it's something for them to do. Broman of the week, man. Yeah. Even that I think would have been better than this is it DQ? Is it no DQ? What are we using the chairs for? Like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
There's got to be a better way to do this. Or like our backyard match, table for 4. You got to sit your opponent in one chair in each corner of the ring.
Yes.
Like a strap match.
Great.
Classic.
So good. So good.
Well, we'd love to hear from y'all. How would you improve this match? What did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You know that we always love to hear your opinions on it. We actually did get a couple comments from some of you folks out there about this match. As I pull it up here. Zach at ZachL217 said, this was the first pay-per-view I got my aunt and uncle to buy for me. Had to do a lot of chores, but it paid off. And he said with this match and the return of DX, it was well worth it. So Zach liked it, man. Liked it a little more than we did.
Yeah, absolutely. I gotta say, Zach's probably younger than us. And,
probably, yeah.
I hadn't really seen a lot of the Taker stuff, but yeah, no, absolutely, man. Anytime you get pay-per-view, that's cool. I never, as a kid growing up, I never ever got a pay-per-view. I didn't get my first pay-per-view till 2005 or 6 when I was in an apartment, with my roommate, and you guys came over and watched it. Like, that was my first one, so I was 20 years old before I got my first pay-per-view. So if I was a kid, yeah, I'd love to have gotten one. So it is a spectacle. At least you get tables matches, ladder match, chairs match, DX, Jericho, Taker, Batista. I can see that, but yeah, still not my favorite stuff.
You always remember your first pay-per-view. Mine was WrestleMania 9, first one I ever ordered. Even though it sucks, it still makes me happy just thinking about it. It feels terrible. So yeah, we appreciate you guys. Anybody else got comments about this? Of course, you know where to hit us up, like we said, at TalkingTaker, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we will keep this podcast rolling on to The Undertaker's Last Ride as we move into a new year next year. We are heading into 2010. This was the final match of 2009. We'll head into 2010 next week. Kind of bittersweet, as it will be really the last truly active year of The Undertaker's career, where he's really working close to a full schedule here, hitting all the Raws and SmackDowns throughout most of the year. Got a lot of exciting stuff to hit next year, including, of course, that WrestleMania rematch with Shawn Michaels. Big renewed rivalry with Kane. A lot of gimmick matches. Hell in a Cell, Buried Alive with Kane. A fire elimination match that we'll see The Undertaker in. And
yeah, man. I dare you to tell me to walk through fire.
Bingo. And then, of course, we'll kick it off next week with Royal Rumble 2010. Undertaker versus Rey Mysterio in their lone pay-per-view singles match. I'm excited to cover that one next week. And speaking of The Last Ride, we actually got a new bonus episode of The Last Ride series, kind of out of nowhere, on the WWE Network this past week, called Tales from the Dead Man. Some funny, sort of deleted scenes mixed in with some animation behind the scenes, ribs and stories from The Undertaker. Nothing really substantial like the rest of the Last Ride series, but as far as just 20 minutes of entertainment, I loved it, man. You could make this a weekly special, and I'd be down for it.
Tales from the Dead Man should be a weekly episode thing. We did a show. So I have not actually had a chance to finish the whole episode, but I've gotten to about half of it, and my favorite thing so far was him and Godfather fighting over the hat.
That seems to be everybody's favorite.
It's so good because it's so stupid. I can see it happening and just picture it. It's just, it's so funny. And then Godfather got a win over him because he
got the rare win. Yeah, he got his hat. Gave him the hat.
Yeah.
So definitely go check that out, folks, if you haven't yet. We're not going to devote an episode to it like we did, all the other Last Ride episodes, but it's a fun bonus, especially for all you creatures of the night out there. And another Well, follow up and then a bonus thing I got to mention here. Our buddy Mike Prue from the Bottom Line Cast sent me a surprise package in the mail that I got yesterday. I had no idea it was coming. I had no idea what it was going to be. I don't know if you can see that, Travis. The Ghostbusters Undertaker figure.
That's awesome.
Clear purple with the neon green old school winged eagle belt. Man, this thing is amazing. I've seen it online. I'd never seen it in the stores. Very collectible.
Yeah, me neither.
Thank you so much, Mike, from the Bottom Line Cast. What a great gift.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. That looks great. That title looks like 24/7 Winged Eagle.
It does. Exactly what it looks like. It's the same colors on it.
No, that's a cool figure, man. I like that. The clear purple stuff. It's really, really neat.
Very unique.
I've never seen that one in the store. I've only seen it online.
Yeah, very collectible, very unique. I greatly appreciate it. Adding it to the Talking Taker figure collection. Thank you, Mike. Of course, you can go support Mike and JV, the Bottom Line Wrestling Cast, on all your different podcasting apps. They are right in the middle of all your podcasting apps. Stitcher. YouTube. Podbean. Apple. Google Play. Spotify. That's all I got.
Me too.
They are talking WrestleMania 17. They just did a watch along for that big classic with Austin and Rock. So Godspeed. They're about to go through the invasion here. There's some fun stuff in there. And then real quick, I got to follow up on this, man. Last week on the show, I shared with you guys a live eBay auction that I lost in the middle of the recording for a vintage 1991-92 Undertaker trucker hat. You see him in the audience. You go back and watch those old Superstars episodes. There's always a kid or a dad with a denim tank top and one of these Undertaker hats on.
Airbus teacher.
Some gigantic glasses, mullet.
Mustache.
But I was winning it. It was at like $25, and then the last couple minutes of the auction, it shoots up to $89, and we couldn't believe it. You were saying, Travis, I can't believe anyone would spend that kind of money on a hat. So I posted about it on Twitter the next day, saying congratulations to whoever got this hat. Actually, like I said, pretty good deal for what that hat usually runs for, but not quite the deal I was looking for. And who could it have been but one of our listeners, Travis? And not just any listener, our main man, Randy Turco at Pokey's Little Dog. We mention him almost every week. He's a loyal listener. He's always commenting. He is probably the biggest Undertaker fan that we have ever come into contact with. Of course, he's the one who outbids me and wins this hat. He had no idea. I had no idea. We were both going in on it.
Dude.
Couldn't be any more perfect. And if it can't be me winning it, I wouldn't have anybody else winning it. It's in safe hands with Turco.
Absolutely. Dude, you cannot write a better story than that. It is amazing to me. There are, 7.5 billion people on this planet, and not all of them are bidding on that hat. I'm just saying, a lot of bids on that hat. And the two, you were bidding on it, and then Turco, a guy that we, know and, have a relationship because of this podcast, but, it is insane to me. And the way he, revealed it to you of the Vince gif of, it was me all along, Alex. That was perfect. But, you guys, you hadn't talked about it before. You didn't know. It was just, he won it, and it was just so amazing. And like you said, if even if you'd have won that hat, and if he told us he was bidding on it too, I would have given you the money to pay for it. He deserved that hat. Just bidding on it as well. That was awesome. We are glad that hat is in safe hands and on a safe head. So
yes, congratulations, Randy. You're the better man. Until we meet again on the eBay auction block. I'm sure there'll be other items we're scoping out at the same time. But
yeah, he's 1-0 on you, you know.
He's 1-0, man. Now, hopefully the streak does not live on forever. But
The eBay streak.
He's already got that one, so maybe he won't be hunting for the next hat. I can can rest easy. But yeah, man, perfect follow up for that.
Oh, so good. I mean, just so poetic. And again, those of you other loyal listeners that have heard us talk about him, you know he's a part of the show like some of the other guys we talk about a lot. So, yeah, it's really, really funny that happened. And I was telling my wife about it, and she knows Randy from the story of him and his first/non-first date at D-Dubs with his wife. And
that's right.
She was like, I cannot believe that's the guy that got the hell. He is so funny to her, too. So, anyway, if you were there at San Antonio at the AT&T Center on December 13th, in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, you're just spending some of that money on or taking your family out for early Christmas here at TLC. Let us know. Let us know what you thought about, this whole night, getting a bunch of, unique matches and, a lot of stuff thrown at you, a lot of cool, unique gimmick matches here. But let us know what you thought about this first ever chairs/chair match / whatever it's supposed to be. Who knows what the rules are. But anyway, let us know what you thought about this if you were there. And other than that, ladies and gentlemen, take her easy.
No, sir, man. I don't like that crap. I'm a rocker, dude, through and through. Here's my favorite bands. AC/DC, Van Halen, not Van Hagar, Skinner, Def Leppard.
All right, I want you to settle down. Don't make me call you a probie officer here.